You chase, you grind, you fight, and yet nothing seems to bend to your will. You've simply chosen a different path, one of patience, restraint, and intention. In a world oversaturated with noise and action, standing still is an act of rebellion. It's not about passivity or giving up. It's about understanding the rhythm of life and learning to move in harmony with it rather than against it. There's an elegance in calculated stillness, a quiet confidence in knowing when to act and when to watch. Energy wasted in the wrong direction is energy you can't reclaim. Those who understand the art of restraint don't get caught in the frenzy of proving their worth. They realize the strongest influence often comes from being the steady force others gravitate toward. True power lies not in how loudly you shout, but in how deeply you resonate. Your silence, your pause, your choice to do less, they all create space for clarity, space for others to wonder, to question, to lean in. That's where your strength grows, not through exertion, but through intention. So perhaps the secret isn't to fight harder, scream louder, or move faster. Perhaps it's in understanding that sometimes doing less allows the universe to do more. Stillness isn't weakness. It's where true power lies waiting. Let the noise rage around you. Stay centered. The world will adjust to your rhythm. The quietest person in the room often captures the most attention, and it's not just about mystery. It's a demonstration of psychological influence. Speaking sparingly compels others to lean in and listen. Acting with restraint amplifies the significance of your actions. Appearing unbothered creates a subtle but powerful shift as people begin to crave your attention. These are not coincidences. They're deliberate tactics, a form of psychological economy. It's a style of control rooted in precision, much like how Machiavelli might navigate today's world, not by constant reactivity, but through the mastery of deliberate action. Every reaction you give comes at a cost, be it emotional, social, or strategic capital. Even seemingly harmless acts, like addressing every slight, chasing after every opportunity, or overcorrecting mistakes, can diminish your perceived value. It makes you predictable, too easily read and managed. Once people map out your patterns, your advantage disappears. You're no longer the wild card. You're just another piece on the board they've figured out. Machiavelli understood a fundamental truth. Visibility can be a trap. The more you're observed, the more transparent and vulnerable you become. Excessive talk reveals weaknesses, and over-explaining invites doubt. Doing less isn't laziness. It's intentional. It's cultivating strategic invisibility, present but elusive, engaged yet unknowable. This unpredictability unnerves people. They can't label or categorize you. They can't gauge your motivations or intentions. You're not openly seeking approval or exuding neediness, and that lack of transparency makes you untouchable. Power often resides not in what you express, but in what you withhold. Let others speak, theorize, and speculate. Curiosity is your ally, because while they're busy trying to decipher your moves, they expose themselves instead. When it truly matters, take action, once, decisively, with sharp precision. Execute with calculated timing so that your move appears inevitable, as though destiny itself willed it. This approach avoids wasting energy on minor or misguided efforts. Instead, your power is preserved, honed, and impactful when unleashed. Look closely at any instance where the dynamics shifted entirely without a word being spoken. You'll see this principle in action. This is power, a kind of control that doesn't rely on commands or overt dominance. It's influence that doesn't require spoken words. Machiavelli understood this deeply, not only mastering manipulation through action, but also leveraging the strength of absence. This principle can apply to your personal relationships too. When you stop over-explaining, over-communicating, or over-apologizing, you restore balance to interactions. Your absence creates a pull. People value your energy more when it becomes scarce. Just as scarcity adds worth to time, attention, or presence, it makes them meaningful. The mistake many fall into is inundating others with availability, confusing over-giving with authentic connection. True influence comes from contrast. Silence and the pauses between words often carry more weight than the words themselves. This is why unlearning societal conditioning about hustle is crucial. Yes, effort and initiative matter, but perception thrives in stillness. Sometimes holding back, leaving an extra beat before speaking, waiting a moment longer to reply, tilts the dynamic in your favor. Letting conflicts cool naturally or slowing your response can diffuse tension without effort. These subtle choices lead to significant outcomes, quiet shifts in control wrapped in simplicity. Machiavelli might call them the invisible strings, the discrete mechanisms of influence that don't appear as control but wield immense power. Reflect on your own life. How often have you tried to prove yourself, to explain your worth, demand respect, or justify being heard? Each attempt hands your power to someone else's perspective, placing your value in external validation. But by focusing inward, on actions that speak when necessary and silence that resounds, you reverse the narrative. You no longer chase acknowledgement. Instead, others recognize you don't need it, drawing their attention and respect inherently. Here's the paradox. The less you do, the more weight each action carries. A word stands out, a gesture resonates deeply, an absence stirs curiosity. Like a whisper in a silent room, it's far more striking than shouting amidst chaos. So stop trying to fill life with noise and start shaping silence that invites consideration and speaks volumes. Then watch what happens next. Opportunities seek you out without force, not by pursuing them, but because people are magnetically drawn to gravity. You transform into the sun instead of the planet, the center instead of an orbiting body. This is what Machiavelli would have envisioned. Not just movement, but movement that naturally gravitates around you. Influence that arises without effort. Presence that speaks for itself without needing justification. It's far from easy, though. Restraint requires more strength than action. Patience is more challenging than impulsive reaction. Silence feels more unsettling than shouting. But the payoff? You start operating on an entirely different level, a quieter, subtler, yet infinitely more potent one. While others frantically play checkers, you play chess in measured, deliberate, slow motion. Every move becomes intentional, significant. Those who excel the most in life aren't always the ones doing the most. They're the ones who calculate every step as if it carries weight, who speak as though every word comes at a cost, who appear only when it strategically benefits them. They observe, wait, and then act with such precision that no one remembers how long they were patient. They only remember the sheer impact of the result. So ask yourself, are you playing for appearances or for outcomes? Are you caught up in looking powerful Or are you striving to truly be powerful? Because those who genuinely hold power don't announce it. They build it slowly, carefully, intentionally. When the moment arises, they don't need to say a word. Their presence alone is enough. And when people feel that presence, something within them shifts. Not because of coercion, but because your very existence alters the dynamics of the environment. The rules they once adhered to no longer seem applicable. They pause before speaking in your company. They double-check themselves before confronting you. They question their instincts, not out of fear, but because your lack of need to dominate makes them reconsider their own approach. That void of force and performance unnerves them. It compels them to search for your limits and discover there are none. And in this absence of visible edges lies your true edge. This is where so many misunderstand influence, a force born not from loud declarations or grand gestures, but from a quiet, steady, and enduring presence that changes everything without needing to demand it. They often believe that success comes from doing more, posting more, talking more, working harder. But true power lies not in doing or saying more, but in creating a sense of emotional stillness in others. It's that brief moment where you cause someone to pause, to feel a gap of silence within themselves. And this isn't achieved by screaming for attention or overperforming. It's accomplished by letting go of your need for validation. It's about ceasing the performance, the broadcasting, the constant push to be seen. Stop trying to prove you belong in the room. Instead, make the room prove it's worthy of your energy. As Machiavelli hinted, never appear desperate to be needed. The minute others sense your craving for approval, your value diminishes. But when you appear self-sufficient, as though you could walk away at any time and still thrive, they lean in. They become drawn to you, not because you demanded it, but because indifference, properly channeled, can feel like power. This power infiltrates everything: your relationships, your career, your social interactions. Every moment becomes a test. Will you spend your influence carelessly, or will you grow it? Few understand how to accumulate influence rather than expend it. Those who do see action as currency and silence as interest, compounded over time, it builds immeasurable leverage. Let's ground this idea in real life. Imagine someone insults you. You don't retaliate, not out of fear, but because their opinion doesn't hold enough weight to warrant a response. That is doing less and gaining more. When trends explode and everyone scrambles for relevance while you wait and watch, allowing chaos to subside before making your move, that's another example of restraint turning into power. When a heated discussion consumes the room and you remain quiet until you contribute just one precise thought that shifts everything, that is power through measured action. These small acts accumulate. They don't feel monumental in the moment, but over time, they build an identity, a presence that others start to notice. People begin to silently acknowledge that you might see things they can't, that you grasp something they haven't yet understood. This is how quiet authority manifests itself. Restraint breeds perception, and perception is its own form of influence. It doesn't even matter if you have all the answers. Oftentimes, people will project wisdom and purpose onto your silence. They'll mistake hesitation for strategy or belief for calculated reserve. This isn't deceit, it's discipline. It's the practice of leveraging perception instead of fighting against it. But discipline isn't easy in a world addicted to noise. Silence often feels awkward. Patience is mistaken for inertia. Waiting can resemble weakness. Yet those who master the art of stillness, whether in business, personal relationships, or leadership, are always operating one step ahead. True mastery lies in knowing when not to act, when to let others unravel their motivations and expose their vulnerabilities while you simply watch and listen. Observation becomes an unrivaled strategic advantage, not because it strikes first, but because it reveals everything about others while keeping you shrouded. The amateurs rush headlong into action. The tacticians, they win with timing. They know when to wait and how to bide their strength. Machiavelli understood this dynamic well. Speed often sacrifices clarity, and clarity is what transforms minor decisions into consequential moves. So when life urges you to react swiftly or compulsively, pause. When you feel tempted to explain yourself or prove someone else wrong, resist. Ask yourself instead, will this strengthen my position or weaken it? Will I gain power or spend it recklessly? Frequently, the smartest move is no move, at least not yet. You sit still just long enough for opposing players to reveal their hands first, because, in most games of power, he who speaks last often commands control. The one who waits gains influence. The one who doesn't flinch establishes unshakable gravity. Consider the figures who have left the deepest imprint on your life. Were they constantly loud? Did they demand attention? Or did they operate with precision, speaking only when the moment truly mattered? Often it's not their presence, but their absence that resonates most. This is the space where you want to exist, not as someone scrambling to fill every silence, but as someone whose scarcity draws people closer. Attention should be offered to you freely because you've become too intentional to crave it. It doesn't mean never taking action. It means acting with purpose rather than reactionary impulses or fear of being overlooked. Speak to steer conversations toward change. Don't use words for comfort or reassurance. Move strategically in pursuit of meaningful outcomes rather than from an insecure need to affirm your existence. You let others misunderstand you, not because you can't explain, but because their assumptions don't shape your reality. That's a unique kind of strength, one rooted in self-assurance. When you operate from this place, you begin to draw in what you once chased: respect, intrigue, influence. People sense the contrast between those striving for power and those who simply embody it. Paradoxically, the less effort you expend maintaining this, the more it flourishes. You become a fixed point amidst a chaotic world. While others exhaust themselves chasing validation, you remain composed. While they spread themselves thin, striving to be noticed, your rarity makes you valuable, amplifying your presence. When you're absent, it matters. When you're disinterested, it sparks desire. Your calmness delivers the clearest message in the room. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Society rewards noise, celebrates hustle, and prioritizes visibility. Choosing to step back, to act strategically rather than impulsively, can feel counterintuitive, and in many ways it is. But foundational figures like Machiavelli didn't play the same game as everyone else. They operated on a deeper level. In that realm, attention is not the goal, leverage is. Adopting this mindset isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what truly counts. It's trading excess for substance, urgency for timing, volume for precision. Ironically, that's when people start gravitating toward you, not because you sought them out, but because your stillness compels them. Your silence becomes a signal, your restraint an invitation for curiosity. They adjust their tempo to align with yours. That's the moment you've truly succeeded, when others slow down not out of weakness, but because your steadiness highlights the futility of their noise. Now you're no longer responding to the world, you're shaping it, quietly and powerfully. The ultimate goal is to live in such a way that every action you take or refrain from taking carries meaning. Your silence can outweigh the loudest argument. Your absence can disrupt more than another's presence. When you do less, but do it well, there's no need to do more. You simply hold your ground while others deplete themselves trying to prove what you already understand. Let them reveal their tactics. Let them fill the space you leave behind. Then when you decide to act, do so as if success was always yours, because it was. You were just waiting for everyone else to tire themselves out.